He was already halfway out of the chair when he saw her, not the mud first. Not the torn shoes or the soaked dress clinging heavy to her knees. He saw her eyes, steady, quiet, unafraid. The billionaire CEO paused, hands still gripping the back of the chair, heart tightening with a strange, unwelcome pull. This was not how it was supposed to go. This was not what he had agreed to. The restaurant around them slowed, forks hovering midair, conversations fading into uneasy silence. People stared, not with cruelty at first, but with curiosity. A woman walked into a luxury restaurant covered in dried brown mud. Hair damp, hands shaking slightly as if cold had seeped deep into her bones. She smelled of rain, earth, and something sharp, like metal and smoke. The man across from her had arrived in a tailored suit worth more than most people's cars. His watch caught the light with every movement. He was used to control, used 2 rooms bending around him and yet standing there. He hesitated. She remained seated. Her name was Alina. She folded her hands in her lap, fingers raw and scraped, nails broken. Her shoulders were squared, though exhaustion pressed down on her like a physical weight. She did not rush to explain. She did not apologize for the mud. That silence was the first thing that unsettled him. Most people rushed when faced with judgment. They filled the air with excuses. Alina did not. She had arrived late. Very late. And not by choice. Earlier that evening, she had been on a bus that never reached its stop. A sudden storm had flooded the road outside the city, turning asphalt into thick sludge. The bus had swerved, stalled, and rolled halfway into a ditch. Panic rose fast. People shouted. Phones slipped from hands. Water crept in through the door. Alina did not scream. She smelled fuel before anyone else. Sharp. Wrong. She remembered that smell from another life. Another uniform. Another time when fear tried to take over, she moved. She helped first. An old man frozen in shock. A young woman crying for her child. She waded into the mud, shoes lost, dress ruined, arms straining as she pulled the bus door open wider, urging people out one by one. By the time emergency lights arrived, Alina was shaking, soaked, and streaked with mud from head to toe. Someone wrapped a blanket around her shoulders. Someone thanked her. Someone took her name, but no one offered her a ride. The date. She had almost canceled. Almost turned back. She looked down at herself under a flickering streetlight, mud drying into dark cracks on her skin. She went anyway. Because she had promised herself long ago that she would not shrink. Not for anyone. Now, in the restaurant, the weight of every stare pressed against her ribs. She felt it. She felt the heat of judgment. The quiet laughter held behind napkins. The phones lowered just enough to hide recording screens. The CEO finally spoke. His voice low, controlled, but sharp at the edges. This is not what I expected. Alina nodded once. That much is clear. A flicker of irritation crossed his face. He had built his life on order, precision, appearances. This felt like chaos, dropped directly into his polished world. He glanced around. He felt eyes on him now too, waiting, measuring how he would respond. He straightened. I think we should end this here. Alina looked up fully then. Her gaze did not plead. It did not challenge. It simply held his. I understand, she said calmly. Thank you for waiting. That was it. No story. No defense. Something twisted in his chest. He hesitated again. In that moment, his mind raced back to the carefully curated profile. Volunteer work. Community service. Former military medic. Quiet hobbies. No drama. Former military medic. He sat back down. The chair scraped loudly against the floor. Heads turned. You can at least tell me what happened, he said. Alina inhaled slowly. Rainwater still clung to her hair. She smelled damp earth and expensive cologne mixing in the air between them. There was an accident, she said. Everyone got out safely. That is all she offered. He waited. She did not continue. Something about that restraint pulled him deeper. Elena's past lived behind her eyes. Years earlier, she had learned how to be invisible, how to carry pain without showing it, how to move through chaos and still make room for others. She had joined the military young, not for glory, not for pride, but because she wanted to matter, because she wanted to save people when things went wrong. She learned the weight of bodies in her arms, the sound of breathing when it might stop at any moment, the smell of blood and antiseptic and fear mixed together in cramped spaces. She learned what it meant to lose people quietly, friends whose bunks stayed empty, names etched into metal and memory, promises whispered into the dark that she would live well enough for all of them. When she came home, the world felt loud and shallow. People complained about delays and stains and small inconveniences. They did not see the things she carried inside her chest. So she learned to be calm, to be still, to let others underestimate her. Across the table, the CEO studied her hands. He noticed the scars now, the careful way she held herself, the discipline in her posture that no amount of mud could erase. "Why come anyway?" he asked. Anyone would understand. Alina looked at the candle between them, flame steady despite the air conditioning. "Because I said I would." That was one of the rules she lived by. Say less. Do more. The waiter approached, nervous, eyes darting between them. "Sir, would you like to move to a different table?" The implication hung heavy. Alina stiffened, but she did not speak. The CEO surprised. Himself, "No, we are fine here." The waiter nodded quickly and retreated around them. The restaurant buzzed again, but softer now. Curious glances turned thoughtful. Judgment shifted into uncertainty. The meal arrived. Alina barely touched hers. Hunger had faded into exhaustion. The CEO noticed. He slowed his own eating. People often tried to impress him with stories. She did not. Instead, she listened. When he spoke about business, she asked simple, thoughtful questions. She did not flatter. She did not boast halfway through the meal. A man from another table stood up, loud, smirking. "Must have been some date," he said, voice carrying. "Looks like she crawled in from the gutter." Silence fell again. Elena's jaw tightened. Her fingers curled once, then relaxed. The CEO stood this time. "Sit down," he said evenly. The man laughed. "Or what?" The CEO did not raise his voice. "You do not get to speak to her that way." The room felt smaller. He was used to power being loud. This was different. This was quiet and absolute. The man scoffed but sat down. Alina looked up at the CEO. A faint crease appeared between her brows. "You did not have to do that." Yes, he did. Something shifted between them then. Respect earned without asking. As the night wore on, pieces fell into place. A passing comment about medical triage. A careful correction about emergency response times. The way she flinched slightly when a glass shattered in the kitchen and steadied herself. He saw it. After dinner, they stood to leave. The rain had stopped. The streetlights reflected off wet pavement like scattered stars. Outside, an ambulance screamed past, lights flashing. Alina froze for half a second, breath catching. Her hand brushed the edge of the table, grounding herself. "The CEO noticed you saved people tonight, didn't you?" he said softly. Alina met his gaze. "Yes," he nodded. "That explains the mud." She gave a small, tired smile. "Mud washes off. Character does not." That line stayed with him. In the days that followed, he could not stop thinking about her, about how close he had come to walking away, about how icily he had almost chosen comfort over character. He found the news article 2 days later. Local headline. "Bus accident averted by quick action of former military medic." There was her name. He read it twice. Then he did something unexpected. At the next board meeting, surrounded by polished shoes and confident voices, he told the story. Not naming her. Just the lesson. Never judge someone by the mess they walk in with, he said. Some messes are proof that they stood between danger and others. Silence filled the room. Weeks later, Alina stood on a small stage at a community center, receiving recognition for her actions. She wore clean clothes, simple, her hair neatly pulled back in the crowd. The CEO stood quietly, clapping when their eyes met. There was no need for words. The real power had never been his money. It was the choice he made that night to see her, and the strength she had, carried long before they ever met. The world often celebrates noise. It misses the quiet heroes. The ones who arrive late, covered in mud, carrying stories they never tell. But sometimes, if you pause long enough, if you look past the surface, you will see them, and when you do, you might just change. If this story moved you, share where you are watching from. Tell us what quiet strength means to you. And subscribe for more stories that honor the unseen heroes walking among us every day.